very much for joining us. Pete is in. Brian's out this week.
Good to have you. Appreciate it. Great
Glad
to be
to have
here.
you on the Curvy Couch.
Always love hanging out with you guys.
All right. Meanwhile, let's bring in Newt Gingrich. He's a Fox News contributor. You know him. He was the Speaker of the House, and he's also producer of The First American, a new documentary on the life and legacy of George Washington, available now on Amazon Prime Video. Mr. Speaker, good morning to you.
We'll have to watch that. Very interesting.
It's good to be with you.
It's good to have you as
Great
well.
to see you.
What did you make of the president over the weekend, Mr. Speaker, saying, you know what, I might have to shut the government down, essentially, because I'm not going to get the money I need for the wall?
Well, look, I think he is very committed to protecting Americans. I think that everything they've seen about sanctuary cities, about MS-13, about illegal criminals, strengthen his feeling that this is a legitimate national security issue. And the contrast, frankly, could become very vivid. Every Democrat in the Senate has signed on as a co-sponsor to Senator Feinstein's open borders bill. And if they end up in October in a fight between a Democratic Party that wants to have open borders with anybody coming in and a Republican Party that wants to protect Americans and control immigration, I suspect the Democrats lose that fight by a very, very big margin, maybe 2-1.
Mr. Speaker, I mean, the conventional wisdom amongst pollsters, pundits, a lot of political folks is you can't have a showdown or a shutdown right before the election. It's going to make the president look bad. Republicans control the House and the Senate. But could it cut the other way? Could it, as you suggest, demonstrate how committed this president is to following through on his policies and how far the left has gone in opening these borders?
Look, if the only issue narrowly drawn is the wall, I don't know that it's a winner. But if the issue is, does the United States have the right to control immigration? Do we have the right to block murderers, thugs? I mean, MS-13 is a gang dedicated to torture, rape, and murder. This is not hyperbole. This is a fact. Sanctuary cities increase the danger of crime. 84% of the country agrees. 84% agree that sanctuary cities increase the cost of crime. So if the president gets in a fight where the issue is not just the wall, but the issue is a Democratic Party committed to open borders and wide open migration with no controls versus a Republican Party trying to protect you from criminals, I think that's a dead loser for the Democrats in October.
You know, the president, he ran on this. The wall is nothing new. This is something that he's wanted and his constituents have wanted. You are Speaker of the House. What needs to happen to get it through? Because America, majority of Americans, at least the ones who voted for him, they want this.
Well, first of all, I think the president ought to indicate that he'll sign something which is a down payment. Then the Democrats have to say that they are so opposed to protecting America's borders that they won't even agree to a modest down payment. I think, as I said a minute ago, I mean, he's got to be firm. If this is the fight he wants, he's got to go to the country. He's got to explain it. He's got to tie it to illegal criminals and to people who we know as facts. I mean, you go around the country, you find these incidents, people who have been killed, people who have been tortured, people who have been raped. And you look at the total volume of fentanyl and of opioids that come in across the border. And I think the president can make a very strong case. If that's the case, the question is, who's more radical? Is it more radical to want to have a wall, or is it more radical to want to have open borders? If he can make that clear enough, this will, in the end, in October, be very expensive for the Democrats.
Oh, that could actually be some dialogue we're going to have. Meanwhile, Mr. Speaker, on Friday, the government released a number. Our economy in the second quarter of this year grew at a GDP level of 4.1%. And that is, the president suggested that the next quarter is going to be even better. What's going on here?
Well, I think the long-term pattern is very clear. He's had the best series of quarters, I think, since 2005 and 2006. His policies are working. fewer regulations, less government control from Washington, lower tax rates, a president who actually believes in business, who believes in entrepreneurship, the exact opposite of Barack Obama, somebody who goes around the world trying to sell American goods. If you watch him when he travels, he's constantly trying to get countries to buy more aircraft. I mean,
sure.
Boeing now is talking about having to get up to 1,000 airplanes a year that they're going to be building. That is an enormous export flow of money back into the United States.
Yeah. What is it that he understands about the centrality of jobs in the economy? No, really. I mean, listen, the left has lost total sight of this. I mean, how so?
Right, look. You have a whole bunch of Democrats who are either college professors or lawyers who don't have a clue, who've never created a job, who have a theory that they call socialism, which is basically big government bureaucrats running your life. They openly despise business and attack business all the time, and then they are surprised that that doesn't encourage people to create jobs. Then you get a brand new president who is a businessman himself, an entrepreneur, a job creator. He gets the process. He believes in you keeping the money you create, so you are actually have an interest in going out. Small businesses spring up all over the country. We were just out visiting my mother-in-law in Wisconsin. Every small town you go through has signs up for help wanted.
Yeah.
And I think that this is such a huge change from the Obama years where there was no economic growth. There was, the Obama team did a great job if you love food stamps and a terrible job if you love jobs. The truth is the Trump team is the opposite. They want welfare reform. They want vocational education. They want people to go to work. And they're creating an environment where small businesses look around going, this is great. If I make money, I can actually keep it. And if I go to work, I'm not spending my time filling out forms for some Washington bureaucrat. I'm dealing with my customers and I'm dealing with my production line. It's a very positive moment in American economic history.
Let's talk about Supreme Court. Brett Kavanaugh, he's been meeting with Democratic senators this week. Also new this morning, Justice Ginsburg, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, said that she is here to stay. She's going to stay on the high court for at least 5 more years. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I wish her well, and if you're a liberal Democrat as she is, you obviously would prefer not to give Donald J. Trump another seat on the court. So I think that's perfectly reasonable, and I hope she has wonderful years of good health and continues to serve. Second, I think that Mitch McConnell is playing this beautifully, as he has done this whole judge thing all the way through as masterfully as anybody in the Senate's history. And what he's doing is he's setting up the Democrats and saying, look, you want to stall. I saw one article this morning that says their strategy is to stall. Right. And I think what McConnell's saying, you'd rather have a vote on this in October and put all 10 of your senators from states that Trump carried having to decide how to vote in October? Be my guest. They're going to get Kavanaugh through. He's going to be confirmed. It may happen as early as September. But I think from McConnell's standpoint, trying to pick up a few extra seats in the Senate, he doesn't mind putting them through the ringer. Sure. If Schumer wants to play games, I think McConnell's going to let him play games, and that's actually going to increase the price to the Democrats when, in fact, these Democrats, they've all got the same problem. Do I vote with the folks back home, which is yes, or do I vote with all the liberals who give me money, which is no? And they're all hanging there in anxiety.
Well, you just heard the prediction from the former speaker. Mr. Kavanaugh is going to get through. Newt, thank you very much for joining us on this Monday.
Thank you.
Great to be with you.
All right. Good night.